All right, let's get right into it. What if I told you that the biggest thing holding you back isn't your talent or your willpower or even your circumstances? What if it's actually a ghost? A past version of yourself that your brain is right now desperately trying to protect.
You know the feeling, right? You decide you're going to start a new habit, you're going to chase some huge goal, you're really going to change things, and then bam, the resistance hits. You start procrastinating, second guessing everything. You basically sabotage your own success. And it feels, well, it feels like you're just being lazy. But here's the secret. It's not laziness at all.
That's right. What feels like a total personal failure is actually your brain running a very old, very powerful protection program. It honestly thinks it's saving your life. The only problem? It's working from a super outdated manual, a manual that was written for a version of you that, frankly, doesn't even exist anymore. So let's put on our neuropsychology hats for a second. There's a fundamental truth we always seem to forget. Your brain is not designed to make you happy or successful. Nope. Its number one job, its absolute top priority, is survival. And deep down in its wiring, your brain has made a critical connection. Survival equals sameness. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this slide. On the left, that's you, beating yourself up thinking it's laziness or a lack of willpower. But on the right, that's your brain, completely oblivious to your goals, just running what it sees as a mission-critical survival program. It's not a character flaw, it's a biological function. So this internal alarm system actually has a name. Researchers call it an identity threat. Deep inside your brain, in your limbic system, that's kind of your emotional command center, your identity is treated like a physical place, a safe zone. The moment you try to step outside of that zone, to become someone new, that system fires off a silent alarm. And that alarm is designed to do one thing: make you retreat back to the safety of who you've always been. Which brings us to this core idea, the ghost identity. Think about it. At some point in your life, maybe when you were a kid or after a really tough experience, you created a safe story about who you are. It was a story designed to manage expectations, to keep you from getting hurt again. Well, you've grown up since then, but your brain is still loyally protecting that ghost. Do any of these sound familiar? Yeah, I bet they do. These are the little stories we tell ourselves. Oh, I'm just not a morning person. Or I've just always been bad with money. These aren't objective facts. They're identities. And they might have been your armor once, but now they're a cage. And your brain is the loyal guard at the door. And if you need proof of how powerful this is, look no further than the lottery winner paradox. It's fascinating. Studies found that most lottery winners, after just a couple of years, were right back where they started. Not just with their money, but with their happiness levels too. Why? Because the blueprint in their brain for who I am didn't include wealthy person. So their brain, quietly and efficiently, engineered a return to the familiar ground it knew how to survive on. Okay, but why does growth feel so dangerous? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth. To your nervous system, any kind of unpredictability is registered as a threat. Your brain is essentially a prediction machine. It wants to know exactly what's coming next. And when it doesn't, it freaks out. Growth, by its very nature, is unpredictable. So to your brain, growth feels like a threat. Let that sink in for a minute. Your brain would rather you stay in a struggle that it knows and understands than risk a success that is new and unfamiliar. It prefers the devil it knows. That's why the closer you get to a real breakthrough, the louder that internal voice of sabotage gets. It's not a bug in your system. It's a feature of this ancient survival wiring. This chart really breaks it down. When you try to grow, your brain doesn't see opportunity. Oh no. It sees a giant slice of unknown territory. Then it adds a big helping of unpredictability. And what do those two things add up to? Potential risk, which then triggers the big red button labeled danger. So how does it get you to stop? Well, it has a very effective toolkit. That sudden wave of exhaustion the second you sit down to work. That crippling self-doubt right before you hit publish. That sudden, overwhelming urge to go clean out the garage instead of making that important phone call. That's not you. That's your identity threat alarm system, using every sneaky tool it has to get you to run back to safety. Okay, so that all sounds pretty bleak, but how do we actually fix this? Here's the key. You don't fight it with more willpower. You can't outmuscle a biological survival drive. Instead, you have to be clever. You have to strategically update your brain's programming by feeding it new evidence. It's a pretty simple three-step process. First, the next time you feel that resistance, just pause and recognize the ghost. Ask yourself, what old story am I trying to protect right now? Second, provide new evidence. Don't try to change your entire life overnight. Just take one tiny action. Send one email. Work for 5 minutes. Each little win is a piece of data that tells your brain, see, we did this and we're safe. And third, stop taking orders from that old voice. Acknowledge it, thank it for trying to help, and then gently remind it that you've outgrown that old story. Because ultimately, this isn't about hustle culture or grinding yourself into the dust. It's about something way deeper, identity expansion. The real goal is to gently and consistently raise the ceiling of who your brain believes you are allowed to be. It's about making your new self so familiar that it becomes the new safe zone. And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this reframe. That feeling of resistance we've been talking about, it is not a stop sign. It's a landmark. It's a signpost on the map, telling you that you are standing at the exact border of your old identity. And that's exactly why it's so important. That fear, that hesitation you feel, it's not a sign you're about to fail. It's proof that you're succeeding. It's hard evidence that you are stepping into a new version of you. It means the process is working. That uncomfortable feeling is the feeling of growth. So here's the thought I want to leave you with. You're not stuck because you're broken or incapable. You're stuck because a very ancient part of your brain is being incredibly loyal to a version of you that once needed protection. But you don't need that protection anymore. Your future self is waiting for you. Don't let a ghost from your past hold it hostage.